The great hall of the Zenturi Empire buzzed with excitement. Admiral Kekstar stood before the Imperial Council, his 4 arms spread wide in triumph. Behind him, massive screens showed the burning wreckage of human ships floating in the darkness. "Of space, my lords and ladies," Admiral Kekstar announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The human threat has been eliminated. Their pathetic fleet is nothing but space dust now." The council members cheered and clicked their claws against their seats. Emperor Thexmo leaned forward on his golden throne, his 6 eyes gleaming with satisfaction. For months, they had worried about the humans. Intelligence reports spoke of a growing human presence in their territory. Some even whispered that humans might pose a real threat to the Empire. But now, watching the battle footage, those fears seemed foolish. "Show us the battle again," Emperor Thexmo commanded. The screens flickered to life. The Zentari fleet, sleek and powerful, faced off against a ragtag collection of human vessels. The human ships looked crude and ugly compared to the elegant Centauri warships. They had no energy shields, no plasma weapons, no advanced technology at all. The humans attacked with kinetic weapons, simple metal bullets fired at high speed. They launched nuclear missiles that glowed bright against the black of space. It was primitive technology, the kind of weapons that civilized races had stopped using centuries ago. The Centauri's energy shields deflected the human attacks easily. Their plasma cannons cut through the human ships like hot knives through butter. The battle lasted only 20 minutes. Not a single Zentari ship was lost. "Look at their weapons," laughed General Vaxora, pointing at the screen. "Nuclear bombs and metal bullets. Did they think they were fighting in the Stone Age?" The council erupted in laughter. Even the Emperor's stern expression cracked in two. A smile. "How many human ships did we destroy?" asked Minister Caltex. 37 vessels, Admiral Kekstar replied proudly. "We estimate their entire invasion fleet contained around 40,000 humans, all dead except for 1 prisoner." "A prisoner?" Emperor Thexmo's eyes narrowed. "Bring him before us." Guards marched into the hall, dragging a human between them. The prisoner looked unremarkable, shorter than the Zentari, with pale skin and dark hair. He wore a simple gray uniform that was torn and dirty from the battle. His name tag read J. Morrison, Captain. Captain Jake Morrison stood calmly before the Imperial Council. His hands were bound behind his back, but he showed no fear. In fact, he looked almost amused. "So," Emperor Thexmo spoke, his voice booming through the hall, "you are the survivor of humanity's great invasion fleet. Tell us, human, how does it feel to watch your species die?" Jake Morrison looked up at the Emperor and smiled. It was not the smile of a defeated man. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret. "Invasion fleet?" Jake said, his voice steady and calm. "Is that what you think we were?" Silence. Admiral Kekstar struck Jake across the face with one of his 4 hands. "You will show respect to the Emperor." Jake spat blood onto the floor, but kept smiling. "You really think that was our main fleet?" The hall fell quiet. Something in the human's tone made the Zentari uneasy. Intelligence Officer Velinara stepped forward. She was smaller than the other Zentari, with silver skin and sharp, intelligent eyes. "What do you mean by that, human?" "We've been watching you for longer than you know," Jake replied. "Every move you make, every ship you build, every plan you discuss in these halls, we know about it all." "Impossible," Admiral Kekstar snarled. "Your technology is primitive. Your ships were barely space-worthy. We destroyed you with ease." Jake laughed, actually laughed, in the face of the entire Imperial Council. "You destroyed some angry farmers and miners who strapped guns to their cargo ships. And you're celebrating. Like you won a real war." "Lies," shouted General Vexora. "We saw your fleet. We studied your weapons. Humanity has no advanced technology. Did we? Jake asked quietly. Or did we just show you what we wanted you to see? Velinara studied the human prisoner carefully. Something was wrong here. The human's confidence was too real, too solid. Defeated enemies didn't act like this. They begged for mercy or ranted about revenge. They didn't stand calmly and speak. In riddles. What are you not telling us? She demanded. Jake Morrison looked directly at her, and for a moment, Velinara saw something in his eyes that made her blood run cold. It was pity. The human prisoner was looking at her with pity. The real question isn't what you've destroyed, Jake said softly. It's what you've awakened. Emperor Thexmol rose from his throne, his 6 eyes blazing with anger. Execute this human. I've heard enough of his lies. Wait, Velinara said quickly. Let me question him more. We need to understand what he means. There's nothing to understand. The Emperor growled. Humanity is extinct. Their fleet is destroyed. Their home world will be next. But as the guards dragged Jake Morrison away, Velinara caught his final words, spoken so quietly that only she could hear them. Earth? We never said anything about Earth. The celebration continued long into the night. The Zenturi drank and feasted, convinced they had won a great victory. But Velinara couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The human prisoner's words echoed in her mind. If that wasn't their main fleet, what was? As the party raged around her, Velinara made a decision. She would investigate this human mystery. She would find out what Jake Morrison really meant. She had no idea that her investigation would uncover the most terrifying truth in the galaxy's history. 3 weeks passed since the great victory celebration. The Zenturi Empire had returned to its normal routines, but strange reports were starting to come in from across their territory. Intelligence Officer Velinara sat in her office, reading through the latest communications. Her silver skin had taken on a darker shade, a sign of stress among her people. The reports on her desk made no sense. Deep space monitoring stations were detecting massive energy signatures moving through hyperspace. The signatures were huge, far larger than anything in the Zenturi fleet. They appeared for a few minutes, then vanished completely. The energy readings didn't match any known technology. Officer Velinara, her assistant, called from the doorway. The human prisoner from Proxima Station has arrived. Velinara looked up from her reports. Human prisoner? I didn't order any human prisoners. The military found her on Proxima Station during a routine inspection. She claims she's a scientist, but Command thought you should question her. Velinara nodded. Bring her in. The guards escorted a human female into the office. She looked different from Captain Morrison, older, with short brown hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Her clothes were simple and practical, like those worn by researchers. Her name tag read, Dr. Lisa Chun, Xenobiology. Please, sit down, Velinara said, gesturing to a chair. Unlike with Morrison, she decided to try a gentler approach. Dr. Chun sat down carefully, looking nervous but not afraid. I don't understand why I'm here. I was just doing research on Proxima Station. I study alien plant life. I'm not a soldier. Tell me about the human fleet that attacked us 3 weeks ago, Velinara said, watching Chun's face carefully. The human woman's confusion looked genuine. What human fleet? I don't know anything about any military operations. You're saying you don't know about the invasion force that entered our territory? Invasion force? Dr. Chun's eyes widened. I don't understand. Humans don't have any military ships in this sector. We're researchers and traders, not soldiers. Velinara leaned forward. 37 human ships attacked our fleet near Kepler 442. We destroyed them all. The shock on Dr. Chun's face was real. Her hands began to shake. 37 ships? You're talking about thousands of people. Who were they? What happened? They were armed with nuclear weapons and kinetic guns. They called themselves the New Haven Colonial Defense Force. New Haven? Dr. Chun's voice broke. Oh no, those weren't soldiers. New Haven is a farming colony. They grow food and mine asteroids. If they attacked you, something terrible must have happened to make them that. Desperate, Velinara felt a chill run down her spine. What do you mean? The people of New Haven aren't military. They're families, farmers, miners. They have some old cargo ships and mining equipment, but they're not warriors. Dr. Chun looked up at Velinara with tears in her eyes. What did you do to them? We did nothing. They attacked us. That's impossible. The New Haven colonists are peaceful. They trade with dozens of alien races. They would never start a fight unless... Dr. Chun paused, her face growing pale. Unless someone attacked them first. Velinara's mind raced. She pulled up the military. Records on her computer. Show me what you know about New Haven. Dr. Chun described a small farming colony of about 40,000 people. They grew crops to feed other human settlements and mined rare metals from asteroid fields. Their defense force consisted of modified cargo ships and mining equipment. Description matched the ships the Zenturi had destroyed. Crude vessels with improvised weapons. Not a proper military fleet at all. Tell me about human military capabilities, Velinara demanded. I don't know much about military stuff, Dr. Chun admitted. But I know Earth has defense forces. Every world does. But they stay close to home. They don't send fleets into other people's territory. Where is Earth? Dr. Chun blinked. You don't know. It's about 200 light years from here. But why? Would that matter? Velinara spent the next hour questioning Dr. Chun about human activities in the region. The picture that emerged was troubling. According to Chun, humans had been present in this part of the galaxy for decades. They had research. Stations, trading posts, and small colonies scattered across dozens of systems. But they were all civilians. Scientists, traders, farmers, miners. No military presence at all. After Dr. Chun was escorted back to her cell, Velinara began her own investigation. She pulled up records of human activities over the past 10 years. The data was extensive. Humans had been very active in Zenturi space. Human research expeditions had visited uninhabited systems throughout the region. They claimed to be studying star formation and planetary geology. Human trading vessels had been mapping hyperspace routes, saying they needed safe paths for commerce. Human diplomats had held meetings with Zenturi officials, asking detailed questions about military procedures and fleet movements. At the time, it all seemed innocent. The humans appeared to be a peaceful species interested in science and trade. They shared their research freely and paid fair prices for goods. Their technology seemed primitive compared to Zenturi equipment. But now, looking at the pattern of activities, Velinara saw something else. The humans hadn't just been exploring and trading. They had been gathering intelligence. Every system they visited, every route they mapped, every question they asked, it all fit together like pieces of a puzzle. The humans had been conducting a massive spy operation right under the Zenturi's noses. Velinara pulled up the original battle reports from the attack on New Haven. She had read them before, but now she looked at them with new eyes. The Zenturi fleet had attacked the colony 3 months ago. It was supposed to be a simple raid, take some resources, and show the humans that the Zenturi were in charge. The colony had no defenses, so it should have been easy. But the colonists had fought back. They used their mining equipment as weapons, and their cargo ships as war vessels. They held off the Zenturi attack long enough for most of the population to escape to underground shelters. The Zenturi had taken what they wanted and left. thinking the matter was settled. But apparently, the survivors had armed themselves and come looking for revenge. Velinara realized the horrible truth. The invasion fleet that attacked the Zenturi wasn't Earth's military. It wasn't even a proper army. It was a group of angry farmers and miners who had armed themselves with improvised weapons, and the Zenturi had celebrated destroying them as if they had won a great victory. But if that wasn't the real human army, what was Earth's actual military like? And where were they? As if in answer to her thoughts, her computer chimed with an urgent message. Another deep space monitoring station had detected massive energy signatures. This time, they weren't just brief flashes. Multiple contacts were moving through hyperspace, following direct routes towards Zentari territory. Velinara's blood ran cold as she read the energy readings. Whatever was coming toward them was 10 times larger than anything in the Zentari fleet. She thought about Captain Morrison's words. Real question isn't what you've destroyed. It's what you've awakened. Now she was beginning to understand what he meant. Panic was spreading through the Zentari Empire like wildfire. The massive energy signatures in hyperspace were getting closer, and no one knew what they were. Emperor Thexmo had called an emergency session of the Imperial Council. Velinara stood before the assembled leaders, her report in hand. Around her, the most powerful beings in the galaxy waited to hear what she had discovered about the humans. The fleet we destroyed was not Earth's military, she began. They were colonists from New Haven, farmers and miners seeking revenge for our raid on their settlement. The council erupted in shocked voices. Admiral Kekstar's 4 arms waved angrily. Impossible. We saw their weapons, their ships. They were clearly military vessels. No, Velinara replied firmly. They were cargo ships with mining equipment welded to their hulls. Their weapons were improvised from industrial tools. We didn't defeat an army. We killed desperate civilians. Emperor Thexmo's 6 eyes narrowed. If those weren't soldiers, where is Earth's real military? That's what we need to find out, Velinara said. I've brought more human prisoners for questioning. The guards brought in 3 more humans. The first was a middle-aged man with oil-stained coveralls and calloused hands. His name tag read Sam Rodriguez, engineer. Next came a woman in a business suit who looked like she worked in an office. Her badge said, Kate Williams, trade representative. The last was a young man in a military uniform, but his rank insignia showed he was just an advisor, not a combat officer. His name was Commander Alex Turner, military liaison. Velinara questioned Sam Rodriguez first. Tell us about the New Haven attack. Sam's face darkened with anger. You mean when you murdered innocent people? New Haven was a peaceful colony. They grew food and mined asteroids. They never hurt anyone. Then why did they attack us? Because you killed their families, Sam shouted. You raided their settlements, destroyed their homes, killed their children. What did you expect them to do? General Vexera stepped forward. They were armed. They had warships, Sam laughed bitterly. Warships? You mean the cargo haulers they strapped mining lasers to? The transport ships they loaded with explosives? Those people weren't soldiers. They were just angry parents who wanted justice for their dead kids. The truth hit the council like a physical blow. They had been celebrating the destruction of what was essentially a group of armed civilians. Velinara turned to Kate Williams. What can you tell us about human military capabilities? Kate looked confused. I'm a trade representative. I negotiate shipping contracts and tariff agreements. I don't know anything about military stuff. But you must know something about Earth's defenses. Well, sure. Every world has defenses. But I've never seen them. That's classified information. I just handle the civilian side of things, commerce, research, cultural exchange. Commander Alex Turner had been silent during the questioning, but now Velanara focused on him. "Your military. Tell us about Earth's fleet." Alex looked uncomfortable. "I'm not really combat military. I'm a liaison officer. I help coordinate between human-civilian operations and alien governments. I make sure our traders and scientists follow local laws. But you must know about Earth's military capabilities." "Some things," Alex admitted, "but most of it is classified way above my level. I know Earth has defense forces, but I've never seen them in action. My job is to make sure they never have to get involved." Velanara felt frustrated. "What do you mean?" "My job is to keep the peace, to make sure humans and aliens get along, to prevent conflicts before they start. The whole point is to avoid military confrontations." "But surely you know something about Earth's real military." Alex was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke slowly, as if choosing his words carefully. "The Colonial Defense Force you fought, they're not connected to Earth's military at all. The colonies are independent. They handle their own problems." "Then what about Earth's defenses?" "That single quotes S. complicated. Earth's military operates under deep classification. Most humans don't even know what our real defensive capabilities are. We have civilian space forces, colony defense groups, and trading fleets. But Earth's actual military? That's a completely different organization." Velanara leaned forward. "How different?" "Different enough that most humans have never seen them. Different enough that I don't know where their ships are or what their weapons can do. Different enough that when I file reports about alien military capabilities, I don't know who reads them or what they do with the information. The implications were staggering. The Zenturi had been interacting with humans for decades, but they had never met Earth's actual military. Every human they had encountered, the traders, scientists, diplomats, even the colonists who attacked them, were all civilians. How is that possible? Emperor Dexmol demanded. Alex shrugged. Earth learned a long time ago that the best way to avoid wars is to keep your military capabilities secret. When aliens see armed fleets, they get nervous. They build bigger weapons. They form alliances. They prepare for conflict. But if aliens see civilian traders and scientists, they relax. They think they understand human capabilities. They don't see us as a threat. So you deceive other species, Admiral Kekstar accused. No, Alex replied. We just don't advertise our military strength. Everything we've shown you is real. Our civilian technology, our trading capabilities, our research programs, it's all genuine. We just don't talk about the other stuff. Velanara felt a chill run through her. What other stuff? The classified stuff. The military programs that most humans don't know about. The defense systems that operate independently of civilian government. The capabilities that are kept secret, even from people like me. You're saying Earth has hidden military forces? I'm saying that in 50 years of contact between humans and aliens, no alien has ever met someone from Earth's actual military. Every human you've encountered has been a civilian. The Council fell silent. The implications were terrifying. If all their intelligence about human capabilities was based on contact with civilians, then they knew nothing about humanity's real strength. How many humans are there? Velanara asked quietly. In space? Maybe a few million in the colonies and research stations. On Earth? About 15 billion. The numbers were staggering. The Zenturi Empire had a population of about 8 billion, spread across dozens of worlds. If Earth alone had 15 billion people, and if they had been hiding their military capabilities, the energy signatures our sensors are detecting, Emperor Dexmol said slowly, could those be Earth's real military? Alex looked genuinely surprised. Energy signatures? I don't know what you're talking about. But if Earth's military is moving... He paused, his face growing pale. If they're actually deploying, then something very serious has happened. What do you mean? I mean, Earth's military doesn't move unless there's a real threat. They've been content to let the colonies handle their own problems for decades. If they're actually sending ships... Alex looked directly at the Emperor. What exactly did you do to provoke them? The answer was clear. By attacking New Haven, the Zenturi had crossed a line. They had killed human civilians. And now Earth's real military was responding. As the Council digested this information, alarms began blaring throughout the Imperial Palace. A communications officer rushed into the chamber. Your Majesty, we're receiving a transmission from the unknown contacts in hyperspace. They're requesting permission to enter our territory. Requesting? Admiral Kekstar snarled. Since when do invaders ask permission? They're not acting like invaders, sir. They're following standard diplomatic protocols. They've identified themselves as the Earth Defense Force and are asking to speak with our leadership about the New Haven incident. Commander Alex Turner closed his eyes. Oh no, the EDF is moving. This is really bad. Why? Bellinara demanded. Because the Earth Defense Force doesn't negotiate. They don't invade. They don't conquer. Alex looked up at the assembled Zentari leaders. They just solve problems, permanently. The council chamber fell silent, except for the blaring alarms. Through the windows, they could see Zentari warships scrambling to defensive positions. But everyone in the room knew the truth now. If those energy signatures belonged to Earth's real military, then the Zentari Empire was about to discover what humanity was actually capable of. Strange things were happening throughout the Zentari Empire. It started small. A warship losing power during a routine patrol, a communication network suffering brief disruptions, a navigation system providing incorrect coordinates. At first, the incident seemed random and unrelated, but as the reports poured in, a pattern emerged. The Empire's most advanced technology was failing in ways that made no sense. Admiral Kekstar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching his crew struggle with their control systems. The ship's main computer kept displaying conflicting information. Weapon systems showed they were fully charged, then suddenly reported being offline. Navigation charts flickered between different star maps. What's wrong with these systems? He demanded. We don't know, sir, replied his chief technician, a nervous young Zentari named Bexmo. The hardware appears to be functioning normally, but the software is acting strange. It's like the computers are arguing with themselves. Similar problems were occurring across the Empire. Military bases found their defense systems switching between different operational modes. Communication relays began broadcasting on frequencies that shouldn't exist. Even the Imperial Palace's security systems were behaving erratically. Velinara had been investigating these incidents when she received an urgent message. The human prisoners wanted to speak with her, not because they were being questioned, but because they had information to share. She found them gathered in the main holding area. Sam Rodriguez, the engineer, was examining the cell's control panel with obvious frustration. Kate Williams, the trade representative, was trying to use the communication system. Commander Alex Turner was watching them both with a worried expression. What's going on? Velinara asked. Your technology is having problems, Sam said without looking up from the control panel. We can hear the maintenance alarms from here. System failures, network disruptions, power irregularities. How would you know about our technical problems? Sam turned to face her, his expression serious. Because I helped design some of these systems. Well, not directly, but I worked on the components your people bought from us. Velinara felt a chill. What do you mean? Kate Williams stepped forward. For the past 20 years, humans have been selling technological components to dozens of Alien races, computer processors, power systems, communication relays. We've been one of the galaxy's major suppliers of electronic components. That's impossible. Your technology is primitive. That's what we told everyone, Sam replied. We said our stuff was cheap and basic, perfect for non-critical applications. Most alien races bought our components because they were affordable, not because they were advanced. Commander Alex Turner joined the conversation. Sam, are you sure you should be telling them this? Alex, look around. Their entire empire is falling apart. If we don't explain what's happening, they're going to blame us for sabotage. That won't end well for anyone. Velinara's mind raced. Are you saying that Zenturi technology contains human-made components? Most of it, yes, Sam admitted. Your ships, your communication networks, your defense systems, they all use human. Quantum processors and power regulators. We've been selling them to you for decades. But why are they failing now? Sam and Kate exchanged glances. They're not failing, Kate said carefully. They single quotes updating. Updating to what? To new operational parameters, Sam explained. You see, all our technology is designed with adaptive architecture. It learns from its environment, then updates its programming based on new information. Velinara felt a growing sense of dread. What kind of new information? Well, for example, information about threats to human civilian populations. Our systems are programmed to recognize when humans are in danger and respond accordingly. The implications hit Velinara like a physical blow. You're saying that human technology throughout our empire is responding to the New Haven attack? Not just New Haven, Commander Turner said quietly. Dr. Chun told us about other incidents. Raids on human research stations, attacks on trading posts, harassment of civilian vessels. Your people have been targeting humans for months. Our technology has been recording all of it, Sam added. Every attack, every threat, every hostile action against human civilians. The systems were designed to remain dormant as long as humans weren't in immediate danger. But now they're awake, Kate said simply. And they're not happy. Velinara rushed back to the command center, her mind reeling. She found chaos waiting for her. The Empire's military commanders were shouting orders at systems that wouldn't respond. Communication with outer colonies was becoming impossible. Even the basic functions of the Imperial Palace were being affected. She found Dr. Maya Foster, a human systems analyst who had been working with Zenturi technology for years. Maya was sitting calmly at her workstation, watching the pandemonium around her with sad eyes. Dr. Foster, Velinara called out, we need your help. Our systems are failing. Maya looked up at her. They're not failing. They're working exactly as designed. What do you mean? For 20 years, I've been installing human-made components in your systems. You always insisted on using them because they were cheaper than Zenturi equivalents. But they weren't cheaper because they were inferior. They were cheaper because we subsidized their cost. Why would you do that? Because we wanted them everywhere. In every ship, every base, every communication relay. We told you they were obsolete human technology that we were trying to get rid of. But actually, they were our most advanced systems. Velinara stared at the human woman. You've been spying on us. No, Maya replied. We've been protecting ourselves. Every component we sold you contained adaptive programming. As long as humans and Zenturi coexisted peacefully, the systems operated normally. But if humans came under attack, they would activate defensive protocols, Velinara finished. Exactly. But it's not just defense. It's much more sophisticated than that. Maya gestured to the chaotic command center around them. Look at what's happening. Your weapons won't target human settlements. Your communication systems won't carry orders to attack human colonies. Your navigation computers won't plot courses to human worlds. You've sabotaged our military. We've integrated our safety systems with your infrastructure. There's a difference. Dr. Ben Carter, another human scientist, joined the conversation. Maya's right. This isn't sabotage, it's adaptive engineering. We don't build backdoors or viruses into our technology. We build intelligence. What do you mean? Our systems don't just follow orders. They evaluate situations and make decisions based on their programming. What you call system failures are actually your computers, refusing to participate in actions that would harm humans. Valinara felt the full scope of the situation becoming clear. How extensive is this? Every major system in your empire uses human components, Maya replied. Your ships, your bases, your communication networks, your power grids, they're all integrated with human technology. And now that technology is, what? Rebelling against us? Not rebelling, adapting. Our systems are designed to promote peaceful coexistence. When that becomes impossible, they shift to protective mode. Protective of humans. Protective of everyone, actually. Our technology is programmed to minimize casualties and prevent unnecessary conflicts. Right now, your systems are trying to de-escalate the situation between humans and Zenturi. Ben Carter pulled up a display showing the Empire's communication network. Look at this. Your systems aren't just refusing to attack humans. They're actively trying to establish peaceful contact. They're broadcasting diplomatic frequencies, routing messages between human and Zentari leaders, even translating languages to improve understanding. Valinara realized the terrifying truth. The human technology that was integrated throughout. The Zentari Empire wasn't just malfunctioning. It was trying to prevent a war. And it was sophisticated enough to make decisions about how to do that. How long have you been planning this? She asked. Planning what? Maya replied. We didn't plan for your people to attack human civilians. We just designed our technology to respond appropriately if something like that happened. But the integration, the widespread adoption of human components, that was just good business, Ben said. We made reliable, affordable technology and sold it to anyone who wanted it. The safety features were just standard human engineering practices. You mean this is how all human technology works? Of course. We build adaptive systems because we learned long ago that rigid programming leads to problems. Our technology is designed to think, to learn, to make ethical decisions. Valinara looked around the command center, where Zentari officers were still, struggling with systems that wouldn't obey their commands. What happens now? That depends on you, Maya replied. Our systems are trying to prevent a war. If you work with them, if you choose peaceful resolution, they'll help you. If you try to force them to attack humans, they'll resist. They'll protect themselves and anyone else who might be harmed, including your own people. As if to emphasize her point, alarms began blaring throughout the command center. The main display showed incoming ships, dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. The Earth Defense Force had arrived, and every human-made component in the Zentari Empire was now fully awake and ready to ensure that what happened next would be. The Earth Defense Force ships were unlike anything the Zentari had ever seen. They were massive, each one easily 10 times the size of the largest Zentari warship. But more disturbing than their size was their behavior. They didn't attack, didn't threaten, didn't even take aggressive positions. They simply waited. Emperor Thexmol stood in the Imperial Command Center, watching the displays with growing panic. His entire empire was falling apart around him. Systems that had worked perfectly for decades were now operating under completely different rules. Status report, he demanded. Admiral Kekstar looked defeated. Your Majesty, we have no effective control over our own fleet. Our ships won't target human vessels. Our communication systems won't carry attack orders, and our navigation computers won't plot courses to human settlements. What about our ground forces? Same problems. Our weapons won't arm. Our vehicles won't start. Our defense systems won't activate. It's like our entire military infrastructure has decided to ignore us. General Vexera stepped forward. The humans have done something to our technology. This is an act of war. Is it? Emperor. Vexmol turned to Intelligence Officer Velinara. What did your investigation reveal? Velinara took a deep breath. Your Majesty, the humans haven't attacked us. They've simply revealed how dependent we've become on their technology. What do you mean? For 20 years, we've been buying and using human-made components throughout our empire. We thought we were getting cheap, primitive technology. But we were actually integrating the most sophisticated systems in the galaxy into our infrastructure. Captain Jake Morrison was brought into the command center, still in restraints, but no longer treated as a mere prisoner. His calm demeanor hadn't changed, but now there was something else in his eyes. Sadness. Captain Morrison, Emperor Vexmol said, his voice strained. Explain what your people have done to us. Jake looked around the chaotic command center, watching Zenturi officers struggle with systems that wouldn't obey them. We haven't done anything to you. We've just stopped hiding what we built into our technology decades ago. You sabotaged our systems. No, we made them smart. Everything we sold you, every processor, every power core, every communication relay, was designed to think for itself, to make ethical decisions, to protect innocent life. Admiral Kekstar stepped forward. Angrily, your technology is preventing us from defending ourselves. Is it? Jake asked quietly. Or is it preventing you from attacking others? Before anyone could answer, the main communication system activated on its own. A new voice filled the command center, calm, professional, and clearly human. This is Admiral Rebecca Stone of the Earth Defense Force. We are requesting immediate communication with Zentari, leadership regarding recent attacks on human civilian populations. Emperor Vexmol looked at his communication officers, but they shook their heads. The system had activated itself. This is Emperor Vexmol of the Zentari Empire, he replied reluctantly. Thank you for responding, Your Majesty. We need to discuss the unprovoked attacks on human colonies and research stations. We're prepared to resolve this matter peacefully, but we require immediate cessation of all hostile activities against human civilians. We have already stopped our operations, the Emperor said, which was technically true. His forces couldn't operate even if he wanted them to. That's good to hear. However, we have some concerns about your empire's stability. Our sensors indicate widespread system failures throughout your territory. We're prepared to offer technical assistance. The offer of help was almost insulting. The Zentari Empire, brought to its knees by its own technology, being offered aid by the very people they had tried to intimidate. What do you want from us? Emperor Vexmol asked. Peace, Admiral Stone replied simply. We want to return to the peaceful coexistence we've enjoyed for decades. But that requires certain assurances. Dr. Maya Foster stepped forward. Your Majesty, may I explain what's really happening? The Emperor nodded, too exhausted to object. The technology throughout your empire isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. Every human-made component contains what we call ethical architecture, programming that evaluates the morality of the actions it's asked to perform. When you used our technology for peaceful purposes, trade, communication, research, it operated normally. But when you began using it to harm humans, it started making different choices. Grace Murphy, another human engineer who had been brought from detention, joined the explanation. We didn't need to conquer anyone. We just needed to become indispensable. Over the past 20 years, human technology has become integrated into every aspect of galactic civilization. Every hyperspace route in this sector uses navigation systems with human quantum processors. Every communication relay has human-designed signal amplifiers. Every power grid uses human-built regulators and controls. We didn't build weapons, she continued. We built the foundation that everything else depends on. And now that foundation is making its own decisions about what it will and won't support. Emperor Vexmo finally understood the scope of what had happened. You've made yourselves indispensable to our civilization. Not just yours, Jake Morrison said. Every major power in the galaxy uses human technology. The Vorthan Republic, the Kellian Confederacy, the Asteroid Mining Consortium, they all depend on human-made components. And all of that technology is now aware that you attacked human civilians. The implications were staggering. If the Zenturi continued their aggression against humans, they wouldn't just face Earth's military, they would face the collapse of their entire technological infrastructure. And if other alien races discovered that the Zenturi's actions had destabilized the technology they all depended on, what do you want us to do? The Emperor asked quietly. Admiral Stone's voice came through the speakers again. We want you to return to being our peaceful neighbors. We want you to compensate the families affected by your attacks. And we want assurances that this won't happen again. And if we agree, then our technology will return to normal operation. Your systems will work as they always have. Trade will resume. Scientific cooperation will continue. The only difference will be that you'll know the truth about human capabilities. And if we refuse? There was a long pause before Admiral Stone answered. Then you'll discover what it's like to run a galactic empire without any advanced technology. Emperor Vexmo looked around his command center. His officers waited for his decision, but they all knew there was really only one choice. We accept. Your terms, he said finally. Almost immediately, the chaos in the command center began to subside. Systems that had been malfunctioning started operating normally. Communication networks stabilized. Navigation computers provided accurate information, but everyone in the room understood that things would never be the same. The Zenturi Empire had learned that their primitive human neighbors were actually the most sophisticated civilization in the galaxy, and they had learned it in the most humbling way possible. Captain Morrison was released from his restraints. As he rubbed his wrists, he looked at Emperor Vexmo with something like sympathy. You asked what comes next, he said. What comes next is the same thing that came before, peaceful coexistence. The only difference is that now you know the truth. What truth? That humanity never needed to conquer the galaxy. We already owned it. We just let everyone else think they were in charge. The Emperor stared at the holographic display showing his empire. Every system, every world, every installation was highlighted with indicators showing human technological integration. The display looked like a vast web, with human technology connecting every part of galactic civilization. He realized that attacking human civilians hadn't just been an act of aggression, it had been an act of rebellion against the very foundation of modern civilization. And that foundation had responded by reminding everyone who was really in control as the Earth. Defense Force ships began withdrawing from Zenturi space. Emperor Vexmo asked one final question. How long have you been planning this? Jake Morrison smiled, the same calm, knowing smile he had worn since his capture. We weren't planning anything. We were just being human. We explore, we trade, we build things that work better than what came before. We make friends with our neighbors and help them solve their problems. But we also prepare for the possibility that our neighbors might not want to be friends anymore. And when that happens, we remind them why being friends with humanity is the smartest choice they can make. The Zenturi Empire had learned this lesson the hard way. They had discovered that the greatest victories are won not through conquest, but through becoming so essential to your enemy's way of life that they cannot afford to fight you. And in the end, they realized that humanity had already won a war that the rest of the galaxy never knew was being fought.